Hi, I'm Mick Davey, your iFit guide. Today, in this episode of our Zimbabwe series, we are going to be taking the bull by the horns. We're going on a journey deep into the African bush to track down one of the most powerful and majestic animals on the face of the earth, the rhinoceros. In doing so, we're going to learn what makes these creatures so unique and why their continued existence is so threatened. We're going to be doing this with the help of a skilled tracker from one of the most rigorous, professional, and successful anti-poaching units in Africa. It's time to warm up those machines, get your legs going, because this is going to be an enthralling journey. And as you begin, let's take a look at this incredible view. This is Zimbabwe at its finest. Rhinos are incredibly endangered. They've been poached to the verge of extinction for their fibrous horn, which is smuggled out to the markets of Vietnam and China, where it is seen, tragically, as a symbol of wealth, or ground down into powder to be used as a supposed aphrodisiac or as a cure for cancer. Poaching networks use increasingly sophisticated methods, including helicopters, night vision goggles to track rhinos, and veterinary drugs to knock them out, or automatic weapons to kill them. The sad irony is that, unlike with elephants, a rhinoceros horn is not even ivory. It's a fibrous material made almost entirely of keratin. Listen to that rolling thunder there in the background. There's lovely rain off in the distance. Good news is that at places such as Malilangwe, the rhino is making a spectacular comeback. 20 years ago, there were only a couple of white rhino on this land. Today, after relocating 15 white rhino and 28 black rhino from South Africa between 1996 and 1998, they have increased in population at Malilangwe by more than 500%. So much so that Malilangwe has translocated some of its rhino to other reserves in Zimbabwe. And the main reason they have survived and thrived here is because of these guys. You're about to meet the Malilangwe Scouts. So these are the Malilangwe Scouts. They are an elite anti-poaching unit of 90 men, most of them from villages surrounding this reserve. And it's not easy to become a Malilangwe Scout. Indeed, out of a typical group of about 300 applicants, only 20 or 30 might qualify and pass through boot camp. They're not only trained in the use of weapons, because sadly, poachers in this part of Africa have guns, they also undergo hand-to-hand combat training, bush survival craft, tracking, and first aid. They learn absolutely everything there is to know about plants and animals and the behavior of the Big Five. Now, most of these scouts actually come from this area, which means they're Hlengwe, part of the Shangaan people. The Shangaan are famous as hunters and trackers, so there's a natural talent pool to draw from. Another irony is that many of the scouts would themselves have been poachers when they were young boys. We're gonna head down this way and find out just how tough it is to become a Malilangwe Scout.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mick. How do you do?
I'm Patrick.
Patrick, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Your guys look pretty fit. I hear the training here is hard. How hard is it really?
Our training is like a 6 months training. But if you want to see how hard it is, come here, my friends. There's no time to joke. Let's get in. Guys, move! Go! Stop! Stop! Stop!
Okay, you win. Oh my goodness, that is serious. Just take a minute at home, catch your breath. That is seriously hard work. Those guys are fit, really. Somehow I ended up with 3 pounds of mud in my pocket. Woo! Respect. Now that I've dried off and cleaned up a bit, let's keep going. We're here to track down a rhinoceros. And to do this, we are very lucky to have as our tracker, Sergeant Patrick Mangondo, a brilliant Malilangwe scout who has kindly agreed to lead us in search of one of these creatures. It's going to be hard going and dangerous. The bush is dense, and we not only have to avoid getting charged by a rhino, if we locate one, we have to be careful not to run into other dangerous animals like lion, elephant, and buffalo, the most dangerous animals in Africa. Patrick? Hi. You're the one who threw me in the mud this morning.
Yeah. I'll see you again.
I don't know if I want to go into the bush with you.
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Hello.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Lisa.
Hi, Nomsa. How are you?
I'm good and you?
Are you Patrick's wife?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, you're a lucky man.
Good in that time. Oh,
Look at that, a cup of tea. Very nice. Very nice. I hate to rush you. I'm sorry.
Ready to go for
No,
a
it's
game?
okay.
Ready to go? Okay.
Lovely.
Okay. Thank you. The Malilangwe Scouts work in teams of 2, and this morning we got word that a couple of Patrick's men are tracking a black rhino several kilometres across the reserve. We're going to see if we can pick up on the trail and get close to the rhinos, which is very rare and dangerous in the wild. So I hope you're feeling good and strong. How are those legs doing? They should be nice and warm by now. It's not a super fast walk through the bush, but it is a fairly long one, so stay with me. It's the rainy season here now at Malilangwe. The past few weeks have been a veritable monsoon. So the bush and the grass we're walking through is actually way more dense than usual, which makes our journey not only a little tougher, slashing our way through the wilderness here, but also quite a lot more dangerous. A rhino, not to mention an elephant or a buffalo or a lion even, could pop up out of nowhere in front of us, and that's pretty scary, which is why I'm very happy we've got our friend Patrick up front. So we have to take precautions when we're walking through the bush. One of them is not to raise our voices too loudly. Another, well, there's this famous expression in hunting circles, which is to keep the wind in your face. A rhinoceros has very poor eyesight, but it has an incredible sense of smell and hearing. So we have to walk into the wind to avoid animals ahead picking up our scent. If we're down with wind from them, we're safe. There could be crocodiles in a pool like this just to our right, so always worth being cautious as we walk along the riverbank. You've got to keep an eye out for everything. Your eyes, when you're walking through the bush, are usually pointed down, looking at the ground, looking for tracks, looking for spoor, looking for dung, and maybe for snakes. So you sometimes forget what's in the branches of the trees around you. If you disturb a wasp or a bee or a hornet's nest, you're in as much danger as if you disturb a buffalo by accident. Green mambas, which are one of the fastest and most dangerous snakes in Africa, can strike at you out of a tree and you can be dead within minutes. Patrick, have you ever had a scary encounter with a rhino?
Yeah, by a black rhino with a baby
By a black rhino with a baby?
called Zimbabwe. I was in a walk with a guy called Scott.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a white guy, hence. We all were busy tracking it,
Yeah,
and then suddenly,
yeah,
here comes the black rhino.
really.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to be brave. No way. Not with a 1-ton rhino coming running at me. But all jokes aside, it never ceases to amaze me how we share the earth with these creatures, and actually how careful we have to be around them. This is the real world. This is not a zoo. This is still primal. I've traveled all over the world, and the world is changing fast. But so much of Africa, thankfully, is still in this wonderful natural state. One of the things that makes Malilangwe so incredibly special is just the density and the variety of the species that they have here. At last count, they had 6 pride of lion, more than 240 elephants, hundreds upon hundreds of giraffe, and thousands of buffalo. And when I'm here, I feel like I'm in the true wilderness, where almost anything could happen. Now, if we're seeing tracks, we are likely to be very close to a rhino right now. And the bush is so thick that anything could be 2 or 3 feet off this path, and we simply wouldn't know it. Let's keep going. The main way to track a rhino through bush is by looking at the branches and the grass, because the biggest difference between black and white rhino is how and what they eat. White rhino, here we go, deeper into the bush, white rhino have these wide, square jaws to maximize grass consumption. They eat grass and they stroll on the open plains like antelope or zebra, and usually in herds with their young. Excuse me. They are huge, absolutely huge, the white rhino, because they have a lot more food. Some of them weigh up to 2 tons. They are between 30 and 50% bigger than black rhinos. Black rhinos, meanwhile, are the browsers. They eat leaves, vines, and flowers, using that pointy prehensile lip to bite off their food. Black rhinos are also solitary animals. A black rhino cow will hang with her calf, but the male is on his own. And because they are browsers, they hang around in really thick bush, just like this, and it makes them much harder to spot. As you can see, the bush here in the Lowveld is really thick, but somehow black rhino bulls are able to move through this dense bush with ease, barely making a sound. It's incredible. Another thing to note is that although they're smaller, black rhinos are way more aggressive than white rhinos. Perhaps it's a kind of Napoleon short man syndrome. They seem to have something to prove. If you disturb a black rhino and he charges you, you'd better find a tree and climb it fast. And not just any tree. You need to get way up off the ground, like 10 feet off the ground, because they will toss their enormous heads up at you and try to spear you with their horn, which can be as long as 3 feet. Now, although they're very adept at moving quietly through the bush, it is possible to hear them first. They make a snorting sound, like a steam locomotive. And don't think that because their eyesight is bad, they're not agile. Or that you can sidestep them like a matador in a bull ring. Like buffalo and elephant, those other giant plains mammals, rhinos are incredibly fast and agile. They can turn on a dime at very high speed. What are you seeing? Rhino there. Okay, so we've got a black rhino just up ahead of us. His body looks like this mass of black granite just hunkered over there by the tree. Do you think he's seen us, Patrick? He hasn't seen us. Look at the size of him, the sheer bulk of him. Such a powerful, dignified-looking creature. They have a very, very poor sense of eyesight, so it's quite possible he hasn't seen us, even though he's looking over this way. But they have an amazing sense of smell and incredible hearing. So he's probably sponging the air to try and pick up the scent of whatever he senses is nearby. To be on foot this close to a black rhino is pretty extraordinary. He's looking right at us. He senses there's something foreign around him. And using those great big notched ears, and he's gone into the bush like a puff of black smoke. He's just gone. It's time for us to get out of here. It's actually quite dangerous, so let's back up quietly and keep moving. I see rhinos up ahead. They're just over there. 2 big white rhinos. Can you see that guy up there? This is close. This is very close to a very dangerous animal. Wow. Patrick, that's amazing. Is that a male? That's a male, yeah. That's a male. Yeah, male white rhino. Incredible. God, they move so fast. Patrick, do you think he smelled us?
No, he heard.
He heard us.
Yeah.
Okay. That was pretty fantastic. Patrick is clearly the man. To see both a black rhino and a white rhino on foot in one day is spectacular. So thank you, Patrick.
Thanks a lot, Miggy.
Now, sadly, rhinos have an evolutionary problem. They're creatures of habit, which makes it easy for poachers to find them. black rhino will return to the same 1 or 2 watering holes again and again. They're nocturnal, so poachers just have to lie in wait for them to appear and bang, it's game over. White rhinos, by contrast, are diurnal, both day and night. They have a much more sort of loosely controlled territory, but they operate in herds. So when you find one, you normally find a few. Patrick, I was just wondering, are the rhinos that live here, are they breeding? Is there a lot of breeding happening?
Yes, Mickey, it's like every year we are getting like 30 newborn babies of every year.
30 newborn rhino babies every year?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. That must feel good.
That's a good thing to happen in this area.
All right. Well, that's great to hear, but sadly the situation is much more dire in other parts of Africa. Just 2 years ago, the last northern white male rhino, which is a rhino subspecies, actually died in Kenya. His name was Sudan, and now there are no more left of his kind. He is survived by only 2 females, but they have no one to breed with. An international group of scientists is trying desperately to find a way to artificially inseminate the females to continue the species, but it's a long shot, and if they don't succeed, the northern white rhino will go extinct within just a few years. Patrick, I don't know what to say. That was such a thrilling walk. Thank you. Thank you for an absolutely amazing experience.
You're welcome, Mickey. Anytime.
And more than that, thank you for doing the work that you do. Without you and guys like you, there wouldn't be any rhinos left at all. So from all of us watching, thank you for your courage, and thank you for protecting these creatures. And thanks for keeping me safe too. And let's get out of here. So, I'm Mick Davey, your iFit guide. I hope you had a great walk today. I had a thrilling time, and I look forward to seeing you again on another adventure very soon.